What's up, team? Welcome to this week's huddle, and I want to share with you this number before we even get started. This right here. I know and I hope that this isn't you. 80%, and it's time sensitive of when I'm sharing this number. 80% is the number of people who quit on their goals to start the year, according to research, by the time February. 80%. Dude, I'm crumbling this up because it ain't us. I'm getting this thing out of here. No way, no shape, and form whatsoever is that gonna be us. And this is why we're talking about this type of stuff each week. Because we look at that. Look, that is a very real number for a lot of people. And I wanna talk about today the climb. That's what I wanna talk about and focus on in today's huddle, is because look, we're about 6 weeks, 7 weeks into the year, and it's so important that as we have our training dialed in from a physical standpoint, that we keep our mindset dialed in, we keep our emotions dialed in, we stay on it. Whether we're feeling good, we're feeling sick, we're feeling a little under the weather, life is busy, it doesn't matter. We gotta keep climbing. And every single year when I see those numbers, it just, it wakes me up. It wakes me up and fires me up, one for myself to definitely not be part of that statistic, but also for our athletes, making sure that we're on track, we're on pace to achieve our goals. And that's exactly what I want for you guys. And so that's what I wanna look at today. You know, it's not just that we're started this year, we're in this challenge right now, back to action, 2 weeks into the year. And I want us all to take a moment, and it doesn't take long, right? Just take a moment to ask ourselves a few questions, go through a little bit of a process, assess, and this is something that we have to do each and every single week. Because I wanna talk about when people start the new year or a challenge, and let's just keep it relevant to where we're at right now with this back to action challenge. There's stages when people go through a challenge, you know, when they first sign up, they're like, yes, I want this, I need this, I gotta have this, because they're thinking of that end outcome goal in mind about what they're going to accomplish, what they're, you know, that result that they're gonna have. And in the beginning stage, we forget about all of the friction, all the obstacles, all the challenges that we're gonna face. And the enthusiasm is huge because that's what's gonna get us started. That momentum is gonna get us going. But a lot of times it doesn't last long. I mean, look, 80% of people can't even go but 4 to 6 weeks without abandoning their goals. That to me is absolutely insane and crazy. And if anything is worth doing well, it's worth doing consistency. And so that's what we're gonna focus on, right? This is where we wanna look at all these things. We're saying, what are we doing consistently that's gonna set us up for success? And what are we not doing consistently that is holding us back? And so when we look at these stages of a climb, we look at stages of a goal, stages of a challenge. You know, everybody starts off, they're really excited, they're fired up, they're signing up, yeah, let's do this. And I want you to think about this if you're ever going through any type of actual climb yourself, like when you're doing something hard, either a physical climb, like literally going on a hike, or taking on any type of goal. Then you start to get going a little bit and you realize, man, this is tough. There's some problems, there's some things I didn't know about. You know what, I don't know that I wanna keep going. And that's where at stage 2, a lot of people are gonna start peeling off. That's why it's the second month of the year, right? People are like, you know what? I don't really need to do this anymore. I'm gonna quit, because they're not into it long enough. They haven't invested enough into it for them to feel like it's any real loss. And so once you start going kind of in that stage 3, stage 4, you're really at the middle of the mountain. And that's where I think it becomes the toughest part, because the middle of the mountain is probably the loneliest part of the mountain. You're climbing, you're in the middle of that mountain, you're too far away to just turn around and go back, because you're thinking to yourself, I did too much work. I've already done so much. Now if I go back, I'm gonna waste all the work that I've done, or I can just go halfway and go all the way there. And so it is in that point where you have a real gut check moment, where you have to really look within, because it's lonely. A lot of the people that started the hike with you aren't there anymore because they quit. They're not a part of it. They're not doing it anymore. It's too challenging for them. And so there's certain things that you got to look at, right? When you're in that middle of the mountain part, which it may feel like it right now in a challenge that we're in, or it just may feel like it in your life or whatever goal that you're facing, that you're in that middle of the mountain moment. And it is the most beautiful part of the mountain, because it is the part that tests your character, it tests your resilience, your persistence, and it forces you to look inward and understand why you are even climbing this mountain in the first place. And this is really important, because along this journey, when you get to these middle points, what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to constantly repeat these 5 A's that I like to look at. You're gonna have to constantly assess. assess where you're at. How far have you come? What have you learned in this process? You're gonna increase your level of awareness, is that second A, where you're like, okay, I like this, I don't like this, what could I have done better? What am I strong in? What am I weak in? I'm gaining some internal awareness. Now from those two first A's, then it's going to empower you, and you're gonna have the courage to ask for help. What do you need to ask for help on the things that you just don't know? Where you're trying it, but you need to reach out to a coach, or you need to reach out to a friend, or you need to reach out to some expert who's climbed this mountain before that can help you get over this next hump. Once you have the courage to do that, then you adapt. You change some things in your game plan. You mix some things up. You adjust some things where you need to adjust, and then you attack like crazy the next leg. And then you repeat this cycle. You go through these 5 A's. You assess, you gain awareness, you ask for help, you adapt, and then you attack. And those 5 A's, you just constantly keep repeating on your areas of growth. When you get to that next level, that next challenge on that mountain, the next climb, that's what you do. And so you really don't even get to the point of asking yourself any of those questions until you get to the middle of the mountain. And so, one thing is that I think a lot of times people have this misconception that it should always be, the journey it's just all about the journey, and you should enjoy the journey. It's going to be passionate the whole time. And the reality is that's not going to be the case. And this is something that when I heard this for the first time, I heard this from Alexis Pappas, professional runner, and she talked about this that her Olympic coach shared with her. He said, really, the journey is all about the rule of thirds. And the rule of thirds are, you're going to feel good a third of the time, okay a third of the time, and feel crappy or bad a third of the time. And if that is in harmonious balance, then you've got a good path and you've got a good grip on your goals. And that's really, it was such a beautiful articulation for me when I heard that, because that's exactly what I feel most of the time. And I don't feel like, okay, this 3 months I feel good, this 3 months I feel okay, this 3 months I feel crappy. That is like a vicious cycle that can happen not just within a week, but within a day. And a lot of times I would think to myself, like, dude, what's wrong with me? Like, I feel good today, I feel like crap tomorrow, I feel like okay the next day. Like, am I like going through some like roller coaster of like, get it together, man? Like, I would think to myself, I have to feel great all the time. And if it's not, oh man, something's wrong. And when I get a chance to assess and have awareness of so much of my journey and so many aspects, I'm like, that's actually been the perfect balance and formula to know when things are working smoothly. When I'm building something, it's never going to be perfect. I'm never going to feel great all the time. Some days I'm going to feel okay. Some days I'm going to just feel like crap. But the bottom line is, you just got to keep showing up. You got to keep building. It doesn't matter if you put 50 nails up that day or 1 nail up. You just got to bring that hammer out, and you just got to keep going. And when you look at these rule of thirds, right, and the whole picture, if you're feeling good all the time, then chances are you're not doing something that's challenging yourself. Like, you just feel like, oh, I feel good. Well, you're probably not being challenged, because if you're being actually challenged, you're not gonna feel good all the time. If you just feel okay all the time, well, then it's not really a sustainable dream that you feel so passionate about, and it's something worthy in pursuit of, because it's just like, meh, it's okay. Like, it's not that bad, it's not that good. It's just kind of in the middle land. And to me, I think that's one of the worst places to feel all the time. It's like, not that bad, not that good. You're just kind of like apathetic through life or through any challenge. And if you feel crappy all the time, well, then you need to assess the effort that you're putting in, because oftentimes that's what's going to happen, right? If you just feel crappy, what I've seen in my experience is it's just really a byproduct of me just either, one, not putting in enough effort, or banging my head against the same wall expecting a different result. As Einstein said, that's a definition of insanity, right? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And so today I want to keep this so simple for us, as something that was so simple for me to digest was really that rule of thirds. Just know, if you're on this path of growth, if you're on this path of elevating, it's gonna feel great sometimes. It's gonna feel blah sometimes. And you're gonna feel like straight up crap sometimes. And if you have that balance, and you are on the right path. The key is to not be emotional in those. Don't get high on the highs, don't get low on the lows. The reality is somewhere in between. So don't think that, oh yes, I need to feel like this all the time, or you're feeling like crap, it's gonna be like this forever. It's reality, because all those things are happening in sync. And so what I want for you, and the challenge that I have for you, and it's definitely, as I'm telling you, I'm looking at myself in the mirror right now saying this as well, is just ride this wave and just keep showing up. Just keep climbing. You know, whatever we do consistently is what we're going to produce at the end. We don't gain weight overnight and we don't lose weight overnight. It is a byproduct of our consistent habits. And we don't need to be intense. We don't need to be extravagant. Consistently good will always beat occasionally great, any day of the week. And that's all about not worrying so much on, I gotta do double days this week, I gotta go intense, I gotta go through a massive reset and cleanse. Look, if it's not worth sustaining, then there's no point of putting that pressure on our system and things that we're just gonna do for short-lived. We create a corrupt software when we do that, because we think the only way to change is to make it extreme. So here is my message to you, my message to myself as we continue on this climb. And why I think it's so important to just have that huddle up once a week so that we're on the same page is just focus on that consistency. Just focus on showing up. Life is gonna throw you a curveball. Kids are gonna get wild, their school's gonna get crazy, they're gonna get sick, you're gonna get sick, deadlines are gonna pop up. Look, it doesn't matter, you gotta show up. And there are many days you feel like, I don't feel like doing this. Heck, I'm even telling you right now in this current moment, I'm fighting a little bit of a head bug. I can hear my voice ringing through my head as I'm speaking right now. And so there's days where it's like, man, I just don't even feel like talking. I don't even feel like talking to a camera. I don't feel like doing it. But it doesn't matter. We got to show up. We got to show up and do the work that's necessary. And I'll tell you what, I sure as hell am happy that I had a chance to sit down and share this with you, because I'm going to look back and say, hey, I said I was going to do it. I did it. And it may have not been the best one that I've ever done, but I'm going to learn and live to fight another day, giving my best. And that's exactly what I want for all of us. Show up, be consistent. Do not be a statistic. You are not gonna be part of that 80% who quits on their goals, who quits on their dreams. You are doing this for more than just yourself. You're doing this for every single person who believes in you. You're doing this for your family, your friends, people that are watching you all day long, saying to themselves, I hope they don't give up, because they are my source of inspiration. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna keep climbing and climbing and climbing. Let's go rock the week. Let's look at our goals for this week. Let's make that action plan. Let's get dialed in. And if we need help, have the courage to ask for it. Team, I'm fired up to keep making moves with you, and let's continue to be great. Let's go.